Neil Rana here with a story. Okay, 26 years ago, on April 20th, 1993, Aerosmith released their best-selling album, Get a Grip, with worldwide sales of over 20 million copies. And it was probably no accident that Aerosmith, a band known for its epic drug use, chose April 20th, or 420, as it's commonly known in marijuana culture, as the day to release their album. Now, since today is 420, I thought I would tell you about the legend of 420 and how it all came about. All right, let's hear my little rock dog. Rock dog, yeah, okay. So it started in 1971 with 5 high school students in San Rafael, California, calling themselves the Waldos. And they named themselves that because their chosen hangout spot was a wall outside their high school. Now the 5 devised a plan to search for an abandoned cannabis crop that they had learned about based on a treasure map made by the grower. Now, the Waldos designated the Louis Pasteur statue on the grounds of San Rafael High School as their meeting place, and 4:20 in the afternoon as their meeting time, with the code word for the plan, 420 Louis, eventually shortened to just 420. Now, after several failed attempts to find the crop, the group gave up. But the phrase ultimately evolved into a code word that the teens used to mean consuming cannabis. Now, High Times magazine was really the ones responsible for taking the story about the Waldos to mind-boggling cult-like extremes when a story attributed the early spread of the phrase to Grateful Dead followers after one of the 5 original students became a roadie for the Dead's bassist Phil Lesh and called for 420 to be the socially accepted hour of the day to consume cannabis. So there you have it, the story of 420. Very appropriate day for Aerosmith. And of course, you know, Steven Tyler and Joe Perry have the nickname the Toxic Twins due to the copious amounts of drugs they did over the years. So why not release their most popular album on 420? Okay, now back to Aerosmith and the album Get a Grip. So I want to talk about one particular song on the album because it follows the same theme kind of. And the song I want to talk about is Amazing, a power ballad all from the album, which was written by Steven Tyler and an old longtime friend of the band named Richie Supa. Now, the song is about addiction and it has an interesting story behind it. So as I said, Supa was a longtime friend of Aerosmith and had collaborated and partied hardy with the band in the late 70s. Now, Richie was a major druggie and eventually got caught with a kilo of cocaine, which landed him 3 years in jail. Now, after he got out, he went to an Aerosmith show at Madison Square Garden and met Steven Tyler backstage. The only problem? He had an 8-ball of cocaine under his coat. Now, Supa didn't realize that Steven had gotten sober, and Steven called security to kick him out. And he told Supa, "You come back when you've been off drugs and alcohol for a year." All right. Well, Supa cleaned himself up. And when he had been clean for a year, he sent Tyler his Alcoholics Anonymous medallion to prove it. If any of you have been in AA, which I have. I've had my drug problems too back in the day. And you get little medallions for 30 days, 60 days, etc. And then you get a bigger medallion for a year. Okay. Now, in the summer of 1991, the two decided to get together. Now, trust me, Aerosmith's management was terrified that Steven would slink back into addiction in Supa's presence. But that's not what happened at all. Both knew they weren't going back to drugs and alcohol, and when Tyler brought this up in a phone conversation, he told Supa, "Isn't it amazing?" which triggered the idea for the song. Now, Richie had heard something that was said at one of his AA meetings, and that was, I kept the right ones out and let the wrong ones in, which kick-started his idea for the lyric about the descent into addiction and subsequent recovery. So Super flew out to meet Tyler, writing more of the lyric on the way, and when he got there, they finished the song in 4 hours. And it was one of the first songs written for Get a Grip. And believe it or not, the pair stayed sober, at least for a while, and would team up again to write the Aerosmith hit, Pink. How about that? 420, Aerosmith, Get a Grip. So that's my story, and I hope you enjoyed it. It is 420. If you happen to enjoy. If you're going to a 420 party, enjoy. Have one for me, as they say. And my book, Rock Doc, still available out there. Autographed copies, neilratnerrockdoc.com. Go to buy the book. I'll autograph it any way you want. And 3 o'clock today, listen to my This Week in Rock on WDST Radio Woodstock, 100.1 on your dial if you're up around here. But if not, you can listen to it on the internet over iHeartRadio. Just punch in WDST Radio Woodstock in Woodstock, New York. All right, that's it for today. Have a great day, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys real soon for another cool story. All right, bye now.